Well, welcome everybody. It's 6 o'clock, so we'll get started. I'm Lucy Castaldo. I'm the director of Berkshire Art Center, and I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual artist talk with Karen Arp-Sandel. Berkshire Art Center is a nonprofit community art school with locations in Stockbridge and now in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Our mission is to provide hands-on experiences in the visual arts for all ages, all incomes, and all skill levels. We offer studio-based art programs in multiple disciplines year-round in our studios and online. You can find our class offerings and upcoming artist talks like this on our website at berkshireartcenter.org. I have a couple housekeeping notes to begin with. Please familiarize yourself with your mute button and ensure to use it while Karen is presenting and when you have any background noise. There will be a Q&A following Karen's presentation, and you're welcome to add questions as they come up in the chat feature, or when we open up for questions, you can raise your hand, come off mute. It's a small enough group that we will facilitate nicely. And lastly, we are recording this presentation, as I said. So without further ado, I'm pleased to introduce Karen Arp-Sandel. Karen's specialty is collage art. That includes mail art, collage sketchbooks, analog photo montage, painted paper abstracts, found object assemblage, shard mosaic murals, and hand-bound artist books. She works out of Maison Collage Studio in her home in Canaan, New York, where she makes art as a daily practice, teaches collage, and heads up a lively female correspondence. Her artwork can be viewed in local galleries, in private and international collections, as well as at Maison Collage Studio Gallery by appointment. We are so lucky to have Karen on our faculty. She introduced us to World Collage-A Day, so we have her to thank for this continued tradition of collage programming. So thank you, Karen, and thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lucy. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello and welcome. It's really great to see you all gathered for World Collage Day. Isn't it wonderful to be celebrating collage art and the artists who make collage art in this global forum? Thanks to Collage Magazine for establishing and growing this special day. For me, as a collage artist, it's the best day of the year. Thanks to Lucy and Berkshire Art Center for the invitation to share my new collage work with you today. I'm very excited to show you all what I've been up to and hopefully inspire you to create something every day. Try something new with scissors and glue. Collage Marathon. Ready, set, go. In any marathon, there's a starting point and a finish line. I will begin my talk with a description of a really fun event I attended last month, April 2023, at Berkshire Art Center with a group of wonderful collage artists. We assembled at the Collage Open Studio from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for a 3-day Makers Marathon. We arrived with our favorite collage stash, scissors, glue, and ideas. I find that when I engage with collage process in an intensive and immersive experience like this, I can get totally lost in my creativity because it frees me from the distraction of attending to outside interruptions or responsibilities. This kind of freedom to make art nonstop allows me to access my inner idea machine. To prepare in advance for a marathon, I train my mind by setting intentions and gathering some of my favorite imagery to work with. I begin with a cutting out marathon, just cutting out and amassing visuals that I can then use to construct my collage art. Bridge of flowers, cut and paste to your heart's content, play with scale. Collage art allows me to choose interesting combinations and to make unusual juxtapositions. I am a paper collector and paper fascinates me. I have files labeled by subject so that the pictures I need are at my fingertips. For example, I keep labeled files of flowers, birds, sky, universe, landscapes and people, etc. Part of my process is to stock these files with visuals that spark ideas for collage combinations. Playing around with scale amuses me. A collage like this falls into the category of absurdist collage because of how it represents reality. It invites the viewer to look at things from a different perspective and to use imagination to decode what's being implied. Let's dance. Let everything be an experiment. Art happens if you let it. One way to free up your creative energy is to get out of your thinking mind and into the dance of creativity. Just as when we are listening to music and it gets us up out of the chair and onto the dance floor, allowing ourselves to be experimental with our art can result in lots of new ways of putting it all together. Dance to your own collage melody and improvise as you go along. Here are 4 examples of the way my mind works. You will notice that each collage is really different from the next one. In the collage with the dancing couple, I made myself chuckle as I added the cat head. In the collage with 4 figures by the river, I added tiny cutouts of Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, who seem to be meeting with the sages in the magical mountains of Japan. I enjoy absurdist humor in my collage experiments. Sometimes the focal point is a beautiful face, like the Mona Lisa, who appears quite commonly in my compositions. In the next collage, I felt that the face I used embodied a kind of Mona Lisa smile, so I used it as my center of interest. In each of these collage designs, I experimented with backgrounds. Backgrounds set the stage for the collage composition. Flowers and bright colors are a common theme throughout all 4 images. Whatever the viewer associates with flowers adds to the way they make meaning out of what they see. And there's also a lot of playing around with scale. Flower girls. Collage comes in every size and shape. Behold the power of spaciousness. This is one of my newest collages, which evolved from a new way of working that I discovered during the Collage Marathon in 2022. I tried something new. I limited myself to 2 main elements for this collage and built a shape that draws the viewer's eye all around the composition. First, you notice the bright jumble of flowers, which I harvested from various botanical illustrations, old calendars and date book journals, vintage books, and flower identification books. As your eyes follow the bright coloration of the blossoms and the flowing lines of the stems, you discover the little girl images tucked into the bouquet, seemingly peering out at you. It takes a long time to gather and arrange all the pieces so that they fit together in a balanced, whimsical way. New series, narrate your collage with symbolic meaning. As I mentioned, collage ideas can evolve when I work in a series. What this means is that I work with the same symbols over and over again in different arrangements, looking for meaning in their relationships to each other. For me, images are stand-in symbols for words. There is a sense of hopefulness that accompanies my use of birds, flowers, and butterflies. Nature continuously cycles through the seasons, no matter what is going on in the world of politics, world health events like the pandemic, and natural disasters. The earth is always there for us. Each of these collages represent hope and metamorphosis for all people everywhere, and I made them to process my feelings as we continue to emerge from the restrictions of COVID. Mona Lisa Mountain. Anything is possible in a collage. Currently, I'm working with a series of collage ideas using traditional Japanese woodblock designs as a starting point. These prints are referred to by art historians as floating world or ukiyo-e. They depicted common scenes from everyday life in Japanese culture and were produced by the thousands during the Edo period, 1615 to 1868. I've always loved this style of woodblock printing. In a way, the prints are also very pop art because of their connection to daily life and activities. In this series, I combine images from popular life, like the iconic Mona Lisa, vintage cars, and figures from art history, as you will see in the next few slides. Who's your Dada? Dada collage is conceptual art that embodies characteristics like humor, whimsy, freedom, spontaneity, and nonsense. It's one of my favorite styles and one of my favorite periods in art history. This is another one of my compositions in the series using the floating world print as the background. All the elements are literally floating around, ungrounded and free. Flying cars are another one of my symbolic representations. I use them to mean freedom and forward momentum. I just love vintage cars and keep a file of car cutouts ready for cut and paste fun. The personage in the foreground is one of my all-time favorite Dada artists, Jean Arp, aka Hans Arp. He was a founder of the Dada art movement in the early 20th century and husband of the amazing Dadaist Sophie Tober Arp. Car story. According to my research on this subject, maximalism is a reaction to minimalism in art. Minimalism is less is better. Maximalism is an aesthetic of excess and redundancy. In this style, you will find lots of bold colors, patterns, detailed intricacies, and more. There will be little, if any, white space. Maximalism comes naturally to me. I let myself jump into the chaos with both feet to make this collage. And it's a car story too, which means I search through my stash to find just the right car to fit the scene. And then I even added a tiny driver and passenger inside it. I used paper punches to add the flower and pinwheel shapes. Monochromatic, it's dramatic. I like to think about the way different colors communicate different feelings and moods. Monochromatic means using one color and a few shades of it for the entire composition of a collage. This is essentially black and white with shades of gray, both warm grays and cool grays. I combined a really cute Fiat car from a black and white vintage magazine advertisement with parts of a vintage book illustration and made the borders from the black and white photography from more contemporary magazines. I added accents with punch-out shapes that are made from security envelope pattern paper. This is an example of how a limit can set you free. The limited palette and the thematic elements create something quite dramatic. Imagine that. Circles are special. I made this collage while contemplating Earth Day. I wanted to create the feeling of soaring over the planet with a bird's eye view of our very special planet. Once again, I chose the flying car motif that I love so much to be the vehicle for the overview. I used circular shapes to symbolize the roundness of the Earth, the sun, and the moon. I focused on the color green and adding its complementary color red because it's such a vibrant combination. I turned the world upside down in the background. The circle can be seen as a container or as a portal. To make a collage like this, I play around with all the pieces before I glue them to the substrate. Everything has to fit just right to create the effect I see in my imagination. Add pizzazz. Vitality plus glamour equals pizzazz. People with pizzazz are glamorous and fun to be with, and they have a certain something that attracts others to them. At the Collage Marathon, I found a Life magazine, which, by the way, is one of my favorite sources of collage fodder, on the subject of the 60th anniversary of Marilyn Monroe's death. Marilyn Monroe is well known as a pop art icon, especially popularized by Andy Warhol, and enters my own collage lexicon as a symbol of pizzazz. So when I clipped this picture of the young Norma Jean from a page, I knew I had to alter the photo in a way that captured her dynamism and energy. And that's how spontaneity meets the collage process. This serendipitously discovered picture stimulated my sense of awareness about Maryland as a cultural phenomenon and invited me to capture her vitality and flair. Smiling flowers. Say it with flowers. Takashi Murakami is a contemporary artist born in Tokyo, Japan, whose smiling flowers became a pop culture symbol in the art world, in the fashion world, and beyond. Art magazines are a great source of visuals for collage because they are full of glossy pages depicting reproductions of fine art from all over the world. In my collage classes, I always coach my students to look in the kind of magazines that would have the images they want for their collage layouts. For example, nature magazines for trees and landscapes, car magazines for automobiles, fashion magazines for figures, etc. When I found this page of Murakami's flowers, I knew it would be the perfect layer for my current flower collage designs. Even in a busy collage, motif repetition is what holds it together. I like to make flower head portraits like this one of Marilyn. It feels like a modern Mona Lisa to me. When I saw this photo of Marilyn skiing in her bathing suit, my mind instantly said, summer skiing. Light and dark, big and small, summer and winter. When you play with opposites, you can land in Wonderland. They say opposites attract. Flower mandala, collage as meditation. Mandala art is one of my personal interests, and I enjoy making art in a circular format. Just like meditation or journaling, making a mandala can be an avenue for self-reflection. Circles represent wholeness, wellness, and inclusivity. Mandala art is created in a circular format according to the teachings of sacred geometry. Flowers are miniature mandalas if you look at them closely and observe their radial symmetry. In fact, nature's mandala forms show us that our inner vision is familiar with these circular patterns. Sometimes I come to collage very intentionally to find a meditative mindset. This happens when I create something like this flower mandala collage. Peaceable Kingdom. Circle collage keeps your eyes moving. Circles, spirals, all-round objects speak to our imaginations. The way I fill the space in a circle collage keeps my eyes moving with the curves and soft shapes that are layered in a dreamlike fashion. Interbeing, cyclical rhythm and solar veneration. Interbeing philosophy recognizes the cosmic web of life. Everything is connected to everything. All sentient beings on this earth are interdependent, and that includes us. Many ancient religious cults and rituals developed around the power of solar energy to generate life, warmth, and growth. Nature's cycles demonstrate the rhythm of life, death, and rebirth. In a collage, there is a visual narrative. These ideas shed light on what I was thinking about when I made this hopeful circle collage. Mandala, it comes from the Sanskrit word meaning circle, wheel, center, or essence. Once I became aware of the centering benefits of making mandala art, I began exploring many ways of representing them. In this collage, I used only circles and organic form and symbols found in Japanese decorative prints. Febrillage, word prompts that create collage community around the world. Febrillage is a portmanteau word that combines the words February and collage. Not only do I love the word, I love the phenomenon of the Febrelage challenge. When I participated and posted my collages on Instagram, I entered a worldwide collective of collage makers. There are 28 days in February and a word prompt calendar. It fits perfectly with my Collage-A-Day practice. Word prompts. Do you ever use word prompts as a collage jumpstart? Word prompts are a great way to generate ideas for new collage art. Energized, that's the word that got me started with this Collage-A-Day. I keep a spiral-bound sketchbook into which I directly glue my daily collages. A sketch is done quickly, and decisions are not belabored to bring the collage elements together. I like the spontaneity of the process. Excited. How to create excitement. Sometimes the word becomes part of the collage. Confident. Be your own cheerleader. Everything contributes to your success. To express the word confident visually, I surrounded the face, which is my focal point, with an array of ideas, an array of new ideas, represented by interesting vintage cutouts. This is an anything goes collage. It takes confidence to go with your first impulse and commit to gluing. This is the value of a Collage-A-Day sketchbook practice. Sisters, altering the photographic image. This is a mixed media collage with a painted background and an altered photograph. The use of acrylic paints, painted papers, and paint pens, like Posca pens, can amplify the meaning of the word prompt and the central image. I wanted the whole collage to amplify the universality of sisters and sisterhood. Newspaper. Ephemera is a treasure trove. The word prompt for this collage was newspaper. It sent me scurrying into my ephemera stash for a vintage portrait that I could alter using vintage newspaper. The sepia tone portrait of a young woman in her graduation dress was perfect for the torn paper collage technique. I used very old, fragile newspaper that I gently tore into little pieces and covered the dress area with a word collage of sorts. The linear pattern of the type is always quite interesting to my eye. Even the news was interesting. Upside down, a different perspective. Here's another example of altered photo art using an old portrait, washi tape, and Posca pens. This is an absurdist collage, which asks the viewer to look at the image from a different perspective. It's funny what happened when I took one part of the portrait and turned it upside down. Octopus. Febrelage prompts bring out the best in artists. I really loved seeing all the Febrelage posts on Instagram for this word prompt. Since I'm an analog collage artist and not a digital collage artist, I spent quite a bit of time finding my octopus image for this funny seaside fashion idea. Hide and seek. A word can prompt all kinds of free associations. How did I free associate with this silly word? The word prompt hide and seek reminded me of playing this game as a child and all the funny hiding places children choose, indoors and outdoors. As I made this collage, the phrase, "Ready or not, here I come," was the refrain as I cut out and placed my little characters in the surreal hall of hiding and seeking. It was almost like playing the game of hide and seek in the collage itself. Disturbing. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Febrelage is an opportunity to make a collage every day and see what shows up. My amazing stash of vintage magazines provides me with a lot of stuff for choosing my visual elements. I'm especially attracted to the idyllic portrayal of the American housewife in the 50s with her deluxe frigid hair. In a collage, even perfect can be fraught with imperfections. How disturbing. Scissors, variations on a theme. This word prompt made me think ever so fondly of my very favorite collage tool, scissors. I went for a very literal representation using the cutout paper scissors to show all the ways I like to use my scissors for creativity. Cactus. It's all the rage these days with the garden party set. My mind is a mysterious place. This one required very careful cutting out using very fragile old paper from vintage botanical illustrations. Something about the delicacy of the process caused me to combine the cactus with the delicate, dainty Victorian dresses. I imagined these ladies wearing their cactus gowns to a garden party. Mushroom. Mushroom stools are handy seats for little mushroom people. Fairy tales are full of references to fungi, folklore, and fairyland. I'm sure that was a subliminal influence for my interpretation of the word mushroom. The magic of mushrooms is definitely thematic here. Cat. I'm a cat lover and a cat collage maker. Once I discovered the world of cat collage online and participated in a world collage event with the Cat and Paste Club, I found my tribe. There are a lot of cat lovers in the world, and of course, who doesn't love a cat video on social media? It was easy to play with this Febrelage word prompt. Cats rule. This kitty has cat power. I tried a new way of using washi tape to make a dynamic background for the kitty in this cat collage. Are you familiar with washi tape? It's a kind of craft tape that is printed with designs, and I'm obsessed with it, as I am with all kinds of tape. Peace Collage Project. Art for Peace promotes compassion and awareness. I joined an Instagram collage collaboration for the month of March as a form of art and activism around the global concern for the war in Ukraine. Artists from all around the world made artwork and posted it online as a way to send out visuals that would promote peace, compassion, and awareness. My series acknowledges the richness of Ukrainian traditions and folk art with the Ukrainian colors blue and yellow and the sunflower motif. This collage honors the vinok, or flower crown tradition in Ukrainian culture. Peace Collage Project, Mixed Media Madonna series. Basically, mixed media collage incorporates paper, paint, and glue. Our Lady of Sorrows, or the Sorrowful Madonna, inspired this series. The national flower of Ukraine is the sunflower, and the national colors are yellow and blue. I use these elements thematically to express the suffering of mothers during wartime. I researched Ukrainian folk art motifs and learned a lot about the traditional designs used in embroidery and Ukrainian egg painting. Peace Dove. When I read about the Ukrainian folk artist Maria Primachenko and learned about her self-taught style of painting, I was inspired to commemorate her in a collage for the Peace Project. The dove is a representation of her style. She also painted flowers, so I included multicultural collage flowers in my handmade sunflower to the design. She always used bright, vibrant colors. I felt a kind of artistic kinship with her style. There was a news item that really affected me profoundly during the early days of the war in Ukraine. A museum filled with her artwork was targeted by Russian troops. It burst into flames, and a brave local man ran into the fire in the museum to save her artwork. When a country loses its artwork, the survival of its culture is in danger. Maria Primachenko's contribution to Ukrainian folk art is considered a national treasure. She represents Ukraine's collective spirit and artistic soul. Sunflowers have a whole new meaning now. The Peace Project has had a lasting effect on me. My ancestors immigrated from Ukraine, and this project helped me to process my feelings about the extreme hardships of wartime in that beautiful country. Collage a box. Recycle art. Flat boxes. Use up your offcuts and collage paper scraps to cover the entire surface. Add a figure. One day in my studio, I decided to make a series of collages using a flattened box as a substrate. I wanted to use up my precious stash of offcuts and scraps from other projects. You know, those little pieces that are just too good to throw away. This is what I call recycle art because it uses everyday materials like boxes, envelopes, old pages, outdated maps, and studio paper scraps. Pattern play in a new shape. Red, black, and white. The flattened box shapes really look interesting to my eye. They create an abstract shape to fill with patterns. In these three photos, you can see the evolution of the idea. It's very much like making an abstract collage composition. For the colors, I limited my palette to red, black, and white. I added vintage black and white photo people in various positions that appear to be waiting for something in a flattened out room. It's kind of cubist. Cover the box shape seamlessly. I challenged myself to cover the shape of the box carefully so that the collage has a really different shape from the one made upon a standard paper size. Add some figures. Maybe it starts to tell a story. Mail art project. Pop art, mail art, female postcards. I kicked off this year with a fun mail art collaboration that I discovered on Instagram. The organizer, PDXCC, is a postal art enthusiast who likes to organize mail art exchanges. This call for entries was set to the theme celebrating the 8th anniversary of the mail art group. So each participant was matched with 8 postcard pen pals, and each person received 8 postcard collages in the mail. Participants sent 1 postcard for the exhibit at the local post office in the Portland, Oregon area. I chose 8 pop art postcards depicting Andy Warhol pop art and embellished them with 8 collage elements. The back or address side of each was also decorated with a collage message. So those are the 8. And I felt really excited to be represented in the post office museum. It's such a great idea to get a post office to agree to have a cabinet or a display case with the postcard art in it. Wish you were here. The postage stamps are part of the fun too. So when I make my mail art, I really like to choose carefully which postage stamps I'll use and how that fits with the design. Flower power, flowers and fashion. In April and May, I dedicate myself to a personal challenge of making flower collages, many of which are invented flower fashions. Sometimes I give famous ladies beautiful flower head crowns or hats. I think Liz Taylor and Peggy Guggenheim look great in their flower fashions. Do you ever give yourself a personal art challenge? It's another way to discover new ways of doing things. It can help set you in a new direction. World Collage Day, Ukrainian folk art motifs. So for World Collage Day last year, an artist in the Czech Republic put out a call for entries on her Instagram and in Collage magazine to use her collage kits to make folk art inspired designs to promote peace in Ukraine. I received her do-it-yourself collage kit in the mail from the Czech Republic, which in itself was quite a thrill. Making my collages with the papers that she had pre-cut by hand from recycled pages written in Czech, which seemed to be from a book of instructions for needlecrafts, and punched out colored pieces felt very, very personal to me and very collaborative. As I worked with the papers that had felt another artist's hand so far away, I marveled at the possibility of this long distance collaboration. The collage kit I received was small, lightweight for mailing, and compact. Still, I was able to make a remarkable number of collages, to which I added a few of my own pieces of collage cutouts. I surprised myself with this new series of collages. Posting them on Instagram for World Collage Day was part of the fun. It gave me the opportunity to see what other artists had made with their collage kits. I was the only artist from the USA. Continuing with my collage flower heads. I put this one together with carefully cut out botanical illustrations. It's a pretty large scale collage. Sometimes I use tiny sharp scissors for careful cutting, and sometimes X-Acto blades, and other times surgical blade. For me, it is a fun challenge to keep all the edges precise and clean so that the finished collage looks like a seamless painting. So we're coming to the end of my artist talk, and I'm ready to wrap up the tour through my creative year. I tried to share some good tips and techniques along the way, and I hope you've enjoyed this tour through the mindset of a collage artist. Maybe you've learned something along the way about the benefits of trying something new with scissors and glue. I'll end with this thought. The more you practice collage making, the better you get at making collage your practice. Thanks so much for supporting me and Berkshire Art Center on World Collage Day. I invite you now to chime in with any questions, which I'll be happy to answer. And after that, we'll be opening the door to Collage Club, and you're all invited to join me for a fun project and prompt. It's the flattened box collage idea I talked about in this presentation.